Hey everybody, I'm Chris with AffinityHM, and I'm here to talk with you tonight about CPAP. We're going to discuss CPAP all the way from A to ZZZ. You get that? How I did that? You see what I did there? A being apnea or sleep apnea, and ZZZ being getting the absolute very best sleep you've had in a very, very long time. And like I said in the write-up about this actual talk, I mentioned that there are 22 million people in just the US, who have sleep apnea. But the most amazing thing about that is that 80% of the 22 million don't even know they have it. And that's why I'm here to talk to you folks who think maybe I have sleep apnea. I'm going to give you some definite ways of deciding if you have sleep apnea or not, and tell you what you would need to do. Now, for those of you who already are using CPAP, since we're going A to Z, we're going to get into some parts about CPAP, BiPAP, APAP, and the use of such that will be helpful for you as you're going on your journey. So let's just jump right in here. Welcome to everybody. I appreciate you being here. Let's start off with someone who thinks, and if you're on CPAP or BiPAP or APAP now, you can remember back, this was probably your journey too. In the very beginning, the symptoms. What were the symptoms that you were experiencing prior to even knowing perhaps what sleep apnea is? I think the biggest one and the most common one is the morning headaches. Just like this woman, now she looks like she's having sort of a sinusy headache, but usually the headaches are sort of a tension or a stress type headache that people experience. But even more so, loud snoring is big. So loud snoring, headaches, episodes in which you stop breathing, gasping for air during sleep, awakening with a dry mouth is a huge indicator possibly you have sleep apnea. The morning headache, which we mentioned, difficulty staying asleep, which is insomnia, or excessive daytime sleepiness, difficulty paying attention while awake. By the way, if you notice across the bottom of the screen, you can see that if you want to enter the contest later on in the video, we're going to do a giveaway for a gift card to AffinityHM.com, and just simply type into the comments, regardless of where you're actually watching or viewing this, type in comments hashtag understanding. Hashtag understanding, all one word, no spaces, and you'll automatically be in that contest. So please, definitely. All right. So after symptoms, what we got to start doing is maybe I have sleep apnea. There is a wonderful questionnaire that has been developed. It's simply 8 questions. Let me ask you these questions real quick. One of them is like this gentleman that you see here, sleepy all the time, sleepy all day. All right, so every time you answer yes to one of these questions, just put a finger up so that you'll keep track of how many yeses, because that's how we determine. This is called the stop bang, STOPBANG questionnaire. Do you snore loudly, louder than talking? Yes or no? Do you often feel tired, fatigued, or sleepy during the day? Yes or no? Has anyone observed your breathing stopping during sleep? Yes or no? Do you have high blood pressure, whether treated or untreated? Do you have high blood pressure? Yes or no? Is your BMI more than 35? Yes or no? Are you over 50 years old? Yes or no? Is your neck circumference, if you actually just took one of those cloth measuring tapes and measured around your neck without flexing, would it be more than 16 inches or 16 inches or more? Yes or no? And finally, the 8th question is, are you male? So the more times you answer yes to those simple 8 questions, the more likely you are to have sleep apnea. As a matter of fact, even just 0 to 2 yeses are the only ones that I would say is a low risk. If there's 3 or 4 yeses, you're at intermediate risk. And if you have 5 or more yes answers, you're at high risk for actually having sleep apnea. So if that's the case, then the next step that you really need to do is go and talk to your doctor. Go talk to your doctor. Let them know that you did the stop bang questionnaire, that you're having these symptoms, and you think perhaps you might actually have sleep apnea. So once you talk to the doctor about that, the doctor will either refer you to possibly a sleep lab or consider a home sleep study. So there are actually home sleep study tests that can be done now, and they're incredibly easy to do. You would receive this little device you see on that finger. It's called the Night Owl home sleep study. And literally, it's tiny, just like that. And you just tape that onto your finger. You download an app on your phone. And with the information that is gathered from that, a doctor can look at that information and make a determination as to whether or not you do have sleep apnea. So that's super simple. Now, sometimes the doctors would prefer that you go to a sleep lab, which is sort of like a little hotel room, typically in a hospital or close to a hospital, where you have your own private room. They fix them up real nice beds. And then they hook you up to all of this stuff, just like the lady here in the picture. These sleep studies are actually gathering more information than the home sleep study would. And it's, really a decision that will be made as to whether to do the home sleep study or the lab sleep study that you and your doctor would make to determine which is actually going to be best for you. So now not always is one diagnosed with sleep apnea after having a sleep study. Most are. And that's mainly because all of the screening, et cetera, that's done prior to the sleep study, we sort of already know probably you have sleep apnea. So most of the people who do sleep studies, whether home or in the lab, end up having sleep apnea. Some don't. But once it's determined that you have sleep apnea, you're going to have some decisions to make. You're going to have some decisions to make, and there are basically 4 different paths that can be taken at this point if they say you definitely have sleep apnea. I definitely don't suggest the first one. There are so many negative factors involved in not getting good sleep that I definitely would say don't ignore it. If you know you have sleep apnea, do not ignore it, please. Second choice is a dental device. Now, with these dental devices, it's actually molded for your mouth so that it sort of keeps your bottom jaw pushed out when you have this device in. Your bottom jaw is out, and it's less likely that this airway is going to close off. So the dental device works for some people, not for all, and that's a determination again that you would do with your doctor to determine if the dental device is even a thing for you. Then the other is, I just wrote CPAP, but it certainly could be CPAP, APAP, or BiPAP that might be ordered by the physician. And then finally, there is the surgical implant, a device that can be put actually into your neck, and it creates a stimulation whenever apnea is detected. A stimulation occurs to the tongue, which pulls the tongue out of the way. And those who are candidates for this surgical device are few and far between, but it is something that would help you get rid of the CPAP if it's not working out for you. So it's something definitely that could be considered. Totally up to you, of course. So next thing is just to make a designation and a little bit of clarification for you about the differences between 3 basic types of equipment that I've mentioned a couple of times already. There's CPAP, APAP, and BiPAP. And let me actually back up. Even before talking about the equipment, I'm going to back up here, and I'm going to talk about the 3 different types of apnea. So what is sleep apnea? Apnea is where your airway actually, once you fall into the deepest stage of sleep, your airway actually closes off and your breathing stops. So snoring, I get asked all the time, hey, I snore, do I need a CPAP machine? Well, the answer is no, because snoring is not actually a problem. It's only an indicator that there may be a problem. It's when the breathing stops, that's when you would have a problem. And there's 3 different types of sleep apnea. There is obstructive, which I've described already. It's like your tongue coming back or your jaw, and the airway actually closes off and you're not breathing. Then there is also central sleep apnea, where actually the medulla oblongata, the brain stem, that controls your non-voluntary activity in your body. For example, your heartbeat. Like, do you say heartbeat, heartbeat, heartbeat? No. So heartbeats are completely non-voluntary, breathing is interesting because it can be either voluntary or non-voluntary. So if it's voluntary, it's this part of your brain that you're saying, I'm taking a deep breath. And if it's non-voluntary, it's the medulla oblongata, the stem of your brain, that's actually triggering those breaths. So once you're asleep, all of your breaths are non-voluntary. And some people have central sleep apnea, which means that there's just something not quite right there in that brain stem. And sometimes the actual stimulation of the breath does not happen. So the brain stem has to trigger the diaphragm to expand to cause air to go in your lungs. If that's not working, you have central sleep apnea. And then there's another third type that is simply a mix of the two. It's called mixed apneas, or it may be called complex sleep apnea syndrome, with having obstructive and central. Now, the reason that I brought all that up is because usually the determination of which type of sleep apnea you're having may determine which of these machines that your doctor is going to order for you, be it CPAP and APAP is really good for obstructive sleep apnea. Then BiPAP, even with a backup breathing rate, is better for the mixed or if you have a high number of central apnea. As a matter of fact, when you're looking at your breathing reports, you would see a CAI on some of those reports. Of course, you know that AI is apnea, AHI is apnea hypopnea index, and CAI is central apnea index. So that's going to be on your report, and your machine can actually tell you if you're having central apneas as well. So back to the machines. The difference between a CPAP, APAP, and BiPAP is basically this. CPAP stands for continuous positive airway pressure. APAP is auto positive airway pressure, and BiPAP is bi, as in two positive airway pressures. So CPAP is just simple. It's one continuous pressure, let's say 10. It's going to run at 10 all night. APAP is actually two pressures are set into the machine. For example, sometimes they're set between 4 and 20. Sometimes they're set at 8 and 14, or whatever the doctor orders. With APAP, the machine is going to run at the lowest of the two pressures that are set, and it's going to run at that lower pressure for as long as it can until the machine detects that you're having an apnea. And then if it's set, let's say 8 to 14, it runs at 8, and then it'll go 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10, and so on until it gets to a place where you're not having these apneas anymore. This is part of the algorithm that you hear people talk about. It's like they have to determine within the making of the machine, when are we going to make this pressure change? How fast are we going to make it change, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this rest vent machine has an interesting setting. It's called the P step, the pressure step. So instead of going 8, 8.5, 9, the technician who sets it up for you can make it go a little slower and easier, 8, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.5. You see what I'm saying? So it can either go at a half centimeter step, or it can go at a 1/10 of a centimeter step. So I think the 1/10 is better. It makes it a little smoother of a flow and less of those burst of air. And so CPAP and APAP I've explained. BiPAP, which would be a machine most likely used if you have a good number of central apneas, or if you have the complex or the mixed apnea. BiPAP is a little different. Now, even though we're setting two pressures on a BiPAP, those two pressures are with every single breath. So if this machine, a BiPAP, was set at 8 and 14, it would be this. It would be 14 when you're breathing in, and then it would go down to 8 every single breath when you're breathing out. So that's what a BiPAP does. But with the central apnea, a BiPAP can also, you've heard them called ASVs. It also has an additional feature so that a backup rate can be set in the machine. For example, if that brainstem is not triggering, then let's say you're breathing 20 times per minute. Normally, everything's fine, but we set a backup rate, say the doctor ordered 12. Well, you're breathing 20 times a minute. Then all of a sudden you start having these central apneas. You're not breathing at all. The machine, let's say your breathing rate goes down to 5 breaths on your own. If the machine were set at 12, what it's going to do is add 7 more in within that 1 minute period, and getting you up to at least 12 breaths per minute. So that is what a BiPAP is. So it doesn't have to have a backup rate. Sometimes BiPAPs are used when CPAP and APAP just isn't working. It's too uncomfortable. You just need a little less pressure when you're exhaling. So BiPAPs are often used and usually covered by insurance if the person who's using CPAP has failed at using CPAP. So that is definitely something to consider and just know and just have that knowledge. So let's say the machine's been ordered. Now it's time to talk to your technician about which type of mask you would want to use. There's basically 4 different types of mask available. So let's go over those. I'm going to go over them real quick. You probably have seen all of these, and let me just hit you with this first one right here. This one is just an example of a nasal pillow. There are several different types of nasal pillows, but nasal pillows are the 2 little prongs that just sort of go in your nose and seal up around the nair of the nose. They actually don't go very deep. One thing to know, really important about nasal pillows, if you find yourself with your mouth coming open using nasal pillows, guess what? You're getting 0 pressure in your airway. If you're getting 0 pressure in your airway, you're not getting any therapy. So you're using a CPAP machine and it's not doing you any good. So there's 2 things to do. If you have nasal pillows or a nasal mask, your mouth is coming open. First of all, you're going to know it if your mouth's coming open because it's probably going to wake you up, or you'll wake up with a lot of dry mouth. Or you can switch to a different type of mask over your nose and mouth if your mouth comes open too much, or you can use a chin strap. And I've seen many people try to use the chin strap initially, and eventually you sort of retrain yourself to just keep your mouth closed. So I like nasal pillows. It's the best route, in my opinion, to go for comfort. But if it's not working for you, you have to switch to at least get a chin strap or switch to another mask. So that's mask number 1 style. Here's the second one, is just simply a nasal mask. It's a mask that just goes over your nose only. And those are really great. As a matter of fact, you can see this one. You could read in bed with either the nasal pillow or this one without any problem if you use glasses like me. Here is the third. It's considered a full face mask. It goes over your nose and your mouth, a triangular shape that just seals up around your nose and mouth. It should seat right about here between your eyes at the lowest spot, and then the bottom seat is right here at the lowest spot between your lip and your chin. And that is where we measure whenever we're deciding, do you need a small, medium, or large, what have you. We measure from there to there. We have these little cards that we use to make that measurement. And these masks are really great, especially for somebody starting out. You may want to go with a full face mask in the beginning, especially just to be sure that it's going to work. However, it's not my favorite. They're a little bulky, a little hard to sleep on your side with the full face mask. However, it's a great therapy if you can make it work. Then we have the 4th and final one I'm going to show you tonight is the hybrid. Let me make this so you can get a better look at that. The hybrid mask is sort of a mix between the full face mask and nasal pillows. So as you can see, it doesn't go all the way up over your nose. It sort of goes under your nose, and it goes over your mouth. So it's under your nose, over your mouth. You can still breathe through your mouth and or nose at the same time, or switch up, whatever you want to do. And this particular one, it's the F30i is the name of it, ResMed, the F30i. And this particular one is super comfortable, and it has the hookup for the hose up at the top of your head, which is wonderful. So that is the different masks. So if you have tried all of these and still nothing's worked, there's a couple of new things out there. One is called Nozeseal. You get rid of the headgear. There's no headgear. You take your nasal pillows, you stick your nasal pillows through this almost like Band-Aid deal, and then you tape the nasal pillows onto your nose, and you have a seal, tape, no headgear. A lot of people are really loving the Nozeseal. And then soon we have been supplying the Bleep, which is a device where the hose comes up. You tape these little deals, and I have a video about this on our YouTube channel. You could just go to AffinityHM on YouTube, then search Bleep, B-L-E-E-P, and you'll see this. It's a little deal, 2 little deals that you tape to each nair or nostril, and then it has this little prongs that stick out, and then you hook up to those, and they are right now retooling that. So instead of these little plastic link snap-on hookups, Bleep is soon going to be magnetic, so you can actually magnetize that to your nose, and then no headgear. So I'm really excited about that. That is coming very, very soon. So watch, and we'll probably do a video whenever they come out, whenever we get them in stock. But Bleep is wonderful too. But you know what? And I've said many, many times that the real key to being successful with CPAP is to really just literally never give up on your dreams. You know, dreams are wonderful, and you know, if you're dreaming that you are sleeping so good, and when you're sleeping super good, your body is healing, your mind is regenerating, you get more energy. I mean, there are just so many benefits, but don't give up. That is really the key. So if you're having problems with your mask, you're having problems with your pressure and leaks, and the pressure's too high or the pressure's too low, talk to somebody about it. You know, we have a great group on Facebook, CPAP for Beginners. You can ask questions there, as well as we have tons of information on our YouTube channel on AffinityHM. And we're just all over the internet, and you can reach out to us. We'll do our best to try to answer all of your questions. But again, don't give up. Never, ever give up, because the benefits are so wonderful when using CPAP and BiPAP and APAP. So here is a quick list of the benefits: heart disease prevention, stroke prevention, diabetes prevention, motor vehicle accident prevention, improved daytime alertness, improved concentration, improved emotional stability. And it also, of course, eliminates snoring, which your wife, husband may really appreciate very much. You're going to have more energy. You're likely to lose weight. You're going to look younger. And there's actual scientific evidence. I have another video that shows pictures of people who look younger after they start using CPAP. It is absolutely amazing, and you will live longer. So CPAP is just full of so many benefits. I'm the encourager to say, just keep on using it, keep on trying different things. And if you are having trouble, it's actually not that uncommon. I would say the difficulties in the very beginning with CPAP are probably somewhere people have difficulty about 50%. 50% of people have a lot of difficulties in the first month or so. The other 50% are just like, you know, a fish takes to water and they just jump right in and no problem whatsoever. The other 50%, though, we're here to help you. All right. So now what I like to do is look over here in comments. Let's see. Oh my goodness, we got a ton of comments here. Loretta saying, I did a home sleep study because I was told I told the doctor that was the only way I would do it. Yeah, that's true. And that's, you know, a home sleep study is really almost just as good as a sleep lab study. There are a couple of instances where the home sleep study might not be as good, especially if you have something like restless leg syndrome, where your legs are kicking around. Well, the sleep study in the lab can find that, whereas the home one will not. And there's a couple of other little things. But if you haven't already done it, definitely type into comments. You can see across the bottom, #understanding. We're going to be doing this contest here in just a couple of minutes. And speaking of contests, who won that contest last week? I don't remember receiving an email about that. Okay, Annette says, I have a DreamStation 2 CPAP machine. Please explain again how you can see if you're having central apneas. Okay, on the DreamStation 2, pull the report down. You may have to go to the SD card or even to your provider to get them to get it. I'm not sure if it pops up on the screen. We never sold very many DreamStations at AffinityHM, but you're looking for central apnea. So it would start with C, and it's probably going to either be CA or CAI, the letters indicating central apnea or central apnea index. Great question. Thank you. I see Belty Cat is here. Welcome, Belty Cat. And I see a lot of people are getting into the contest. That's wonderful. You guys are watching from YouTube, from Facebook. All right. Understanding. Belty Cat says the Facebook group is really good. I agree. I've been looking and watching those answers that people are giving, and most of the time they are spot on. Although I would say be careful about taking advice from a non-medical professional. Although, you know, people on that group really have experience, but maybe run it by the doc just to be double sure. Sal T, welcome to the show, Sal. I have a nose mask and have dry mouth in the morning. Any special toothpaste or mouthwash to use? Well, let me ask you this first, Sal. If you're having dry mouth, my thought is that possibly there is air coming through out of your mouth. So that causes two problems. There's all this airflow that's drying out your mouth. And secondly, you're probably not getting enough pressure. So it could be really harming your therapy in general. I don't know if you've heard of xylocaine melts, but I've heard a lot of people use those. Those are good. But I would say check your data or have your supplier check your data for leaks and find out if you're having leaks, because if you're having leaks, that would be something that would really just solve the dry mouth problem. But if you're not having leaks, then maybe try the xylitol melts. I think I'm saying that right. All right, so we got a bunch of people in the contest already. That is wonderful. Thanks again. I hope somebody will put on this chat for me who won the contest last week. I did not receive an email. Whoever you are, send me an email to admin@affinityhm.com, and I'll be sure to get your gift card to you. All right, so let's take a look here. Okay, next thing we want to do is we are going to do this contest, and then if anybody has any questions, then certainly just let me know, and we'll try to answer the questions. Now, let me see how to share this screen over here. Share screen. Chrome. Here we go. Okay, you guys are about to see the contest, and I'm going to pull the trigger. We're going to find out who is going to win this gift card to AffinityHM.com. Can you see it okay on the screen right now? All right, here we go, guys. Good luck to everybody, and thanks again for everybody who has joined this contest. Here we go. So the winner of the AffinityHM gift card tonight is Cindy Thomas. Oh, Cindy Thomas. That was a close one. That was a close one. Cindy Thomas. All right, Cindy, you know what to do. Send me an email, please, to admin@affinityhm.com, and your gift card will be sent right back to you after I vet to make sure that we're together here on this. And let me stop that screen sharing. I just want to take a quick look to see if anyone has any questions whatsoever. And I do want to say again, thank you everyone for being here. This is so much fun. I love doing this. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. Please don't give up. For any of you who are listening to me on the chat right now, the chat will continue. However, the video portion is about to end. So I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. You guys take care, and actually watch this next video on AffinityHM. All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.